All right, good evening, everyone. We'll start a little early. So I have a question from Alexander, and he mentioned when can you use modus tollens? And I will show you when you don't have like a not, you can still use it. So let's say you have statement 1, which is given, just a quick demonstration. Let's say you have not J, or if not J, then K. And then the other given is, it has to literally be the opposite of a conclusion. So then my answer would be, or not my answer, my other given has to be not K. So my answer will be the opposite of what I highlighted in green. So it'll be the opposite of not J, which I have to put another not in front of it. So that is when you'll use modus tollens. Step 1 and 2. And then if you don't want not J, think negative, right? 2 negatives make a positive. Then these can become just regular J using double negation. Can you do paragraph proofs? You can. I don't know if Mr. McKee does paragraph proofs or not, but I think the formatting of this chapter is 2-column proofs. So like your test tomorrow, most likely will already have the 2 columns made for you. When do you use double negation? I just used double negation. So you use double negation when you want to get rid of 2 nots, or if you want to create 2 nots. Oh, I see. So you're asking like if you're given a situation with a lot of sentences, Andrew, and then make it into a 2-column proof? Why would you want 2 nots? Okay, so I'll show you when you'll want to use 2 nots. So when we want to use 2 nots, let's say I have M is given. And then number 2, I have, trying to think, J, if J, then let me see. There we go, given. So I'm not sure how picky all your teachers are, but for Teacher's class, I'm pretty picky on this part. So I know everyone knows that these 2 items that I'm circling are opposites, right? One is positive, one is negative. One has no not, one has a not. But for Teacher's class, if I know we're going to use modus tollens, we have to literally use the opposite of what's provided. So see how not M is provided in this circle, right? So I know I want to say not the conclusion. And then I can say the answer is not the hypothesis. So what I just did was I went from step 1 to step 3 to get modus tollens ready. So I did double negation from step 1 to step 3. Okay. Now, in other words, I don't need step 1 anymore. It's not important or part of modus tollens. So from there, what I will do is now use step 2 and step 3. If you notice, step 2 is that little gray knot. is in front and is the opposite of the conclusion. So therefore, my answer will be, using modus tollens, is the opposite of the first part. So literally not J. So then that is modus tollens using steps 2 and 3. So that's when double negation comes in handy. That's when you want those two knots. Right? Let's see. Other questions. Alexander, I know you're not my student, so I don't know. If you were my student, Alexander, then you cannot skip 3. So Tira's class, it will be a 4-stepper right now. Sure, Friday's homework. Okay, so Friday's homework was review worksheet logic review number 2. And question. And then also number 2, same homework, Andrew? Sure. Okay, so number 3 and number 2. Logic review number 2 worksheet. Number 3 and number 2. Okay, so number 2 from the logic worksheet number 2. And then number 3 first. Okay, this one, you can do this in 2 ways. So I'm going to do one in 6 steps and another one in 8 steps. And I'm not sure, maybe someone could come up with the 7-stepper. Okay. All right, so we're given a few things. So I think I'm going to type it instead of writing it. It might be a little bit easier. So given, you can't see any of this yet. P goes to S, which goes to not Q, not Q. So you do have to plan ahead for these. You can't just, I mean, you can just put anything down, but you want to group a few things together. And sorry, I'm still typing, so you can't see anything. Not P. Okay, I hope I copied it right. So some of you guys can double check it after I hit enter. So can you guys see the given and the proof? Is that available to you guys? Truth table. Sure, Alex. Write this down. Truth table with one variable. Got it. Okay, so I'll make my 2 columns. Shoop. Okay, so number 1, before I even type anything, I'm going to plan a little bit. So I noticed that I want to end up with P and S's. So I am going to use probably this last. And then I'm probably going to use these 2 together because they both have the same letter. It's an if-then sentence, and it looks like it's telling me I'm given not the conclusion. So probably already I'm going to use modus tollens, just looking at what's provided to us. So number 1, I'm going to copy the first given. I'm going to put G for given. Number 2, I'm going to copy the other given. So this is that one chapter that we separate the givens just because we want to see the flow and we want to refer to a specific step. Okay, so step 3, because I'm given not the conclusion, my answer is going to be not the hypothesis. So look at how what I boxed is not Q. Well, I have to put another not in front of it. That's just the way it goes for modus tollens. So step 3, answer is modus tollens using steps 1 and 2. Okay, so now I'm gonna I'm like stuck. Like I can't get S or P out of just that. I'm done with. So then I have to bring in the other given. So the other given is P, if P then S implies not Q. So that's also given. So from here, now pretty much I'm just going to cross this out just so you don't look at it. Okay, don't look at these anymore. Those are done. Like that's part of the proof, but just don't look at it anymore. And notice that after the then, so the conclusion is not Q. And if you look at step 3 and 4, this is again another modus tollens because I'm telling us it's not the ending, right? Not the conclusion. So now I get to say my answer is modus tollens again. So my answer is always not the hypothesis. So I literally put a squiggle in front of the hypothesis, which is all of this. Okay, but that's not my ending. Like I don't want P first, I want not S first. So if you take a look, number 6, if I just change inside the parenthesis, meaning I'm going to leave the outside not alone, and I'm going to do something called contrapositive. What that means is it switches the hypothesis and the conclusion, and it negates it, or it changes them both to be nots. So I did that. So I switched the S and the P, and then I put nots in front of both letters, both statements. And all I did was I did contrapositive. And so that was able to do it in 6 steps. That's one method. I don't know if anyone found it in 7 steps, but I found it in 8 steps. So I'll show you the 8-stepper one too. So there's different variations. I'll give you a big clue right now. I know for my students, we do a lot of double negation. And if you don't like double negation, you can do sometimes contrapositive first, and it will be 1 step less than doing double negation. So I'll show a sample in a little bit for that, what I mean by that, okay? So let me see. Here's the 8-stepper. So I'm gonna try to delete these steps. Okay, delete. Oh, I didn't delete everything. Let me try to get more. Delete. Delete. So the 8-stepper is the same first 4 steps, or first 3 steps. I apologize. First. Here. Okay, sorry, that took a while just to delete. Okay, so number 4, what I could do is there's 2 knots, and I could get rid of those 2 knots and make it a positive. So now I have just regular Q, and that's called double negation. Sorry, I'm going to have to abbreviate a lot, okay? Double. I'll try to do okay, so using step 3. So then from there, I have to throw in the given. Like there's no choice. I can't do anything without the given. So I'm going to say if P, then Q, and then S implies not Q. It's just given. So step 6, what I'm going to do is I am going to do contrapositive now. What that means is I'm going to put this at the end, and I'm going to put a squiggle in front of it, and then put this in the beginning and take away the squiggle. So that's called contrapositive. You switch the order and you put squiggles or you take away a squiggle. So that one is contrapositive. Okay, now here's where comes trouble because I have no more room. So I'm going to go at the very top. And step 7. What am I trying to get? I'm trying to get if or negate not if not S, then not P. Okay, so if you look at the two reds, I did this on purpose. So I'm going to delete or cross out what I don't need. I don't need number 3 anymore. I'm done with it. I don't need 5 anymore. I'm done with it. If you look at the two red statements, statements 4 and statement 6, look at how I'm giving us the hypothesis, and here's the hypothesis. So, and this is an if-then sentence, so it's going to be a modus ponens or modus tollens. This is modus ponens. So your answer using modus ponens is the end, is the conclusion. So I'm going to copy the ending. So this is modus ponens. And I use steps 4 and 6. Sorry, I'm like, can't even write the word right. P-O-N-E-N-S, ponens. And I'm almost done, 8-stepper. Now I'm going to do the contrapositive again, what I did earlier. So keep the not in the front, but in the parentheses, I'm going to switch the order and I'm going to put nots. And so that was a little bit longer, but you know, it's still doable. You can definitely do it longer than the needed steps. Contrapositive. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to do number 2, and then I will do a paragraph proof in a little bit. Paragraph. Figure out givens. Okay. So here we go. Here's number 2 from logic worksheet number 2. Still a proof, and then we'll do truth tables. And this is number 2. So we were given if P then Q, and if R then P, and not Q. So again, you have to plan ahead before you write anything down, and you want to group things together. So I'm looking at the if-then statements, and if-then statements requires another given paired with it. So that means here is one letter, which is not Q, and here's the if-then sentence that has letter Q. So I want to use those together. And I probably want to use this last because it has the letter R and I want to prove not R. So I'm going to use the 2 box ones first. Number 1, doesn't matter which one you put first. So given. Number 2. So this one I hope is a little bit more straightforward because there's not so many crazy knots and everything. So that is correct. Simplification is for and disjunctive syllogism is for or. That is correct. Okay, so our result from those 2 givens is not P. So it's the opposite of the hypothesis, and that's a modus tollens using steps 1 and 2. Okay, so now I am done with these. I used them up. So then and I don't have anything else to do with step 3. So now I'm going to use this last given. R goes to P. If R, then P, given. So now I have to use step 3 and 4 together because I have an if-then sentence. And since I'm given not the conclusion, my answer is not the hypothesis with modus tollens again. And that's steps 3 and 4. So I guess here's a clue. Once you use certain steps, you most likely will not use them. So either in your head, you can cross them out. You don't want to cross them out like I did on the screen, but I just did that to share clarity what steps we're using to get the next result. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna do truth tables. So let's say, and this is for 2 variables, but I think I want to do one that's a common mistake after. So this is with 1 variable. So like for instance, just the letter P. So it'll say, find the truth table of not P. So, well, there's only 1 letter. So here's P. So then if there's only 1 letter, then you only have 2 choices for your answers. It's either true or false. So you don't have to do like the usual. You don't have to do true, true, false, false because there's no Q here. So you only have to do true or false for when there's only one variable. So back to here. Then whenever you see parenthesis, you do that first. So you're going to build another column with what's in the parenthesis, and that's just negating the red answers. So it was true before, now your answer is false. It was false before, now your answer is true. Okay. Then lastly, you're going to negate the green answer. So you're going to negate not P, or sorry, you're going to negate just not P. So you're going to look at the green column and you're going to say, okay, the green column was false, so now your answer is true. The green column was true, so now your answer is false. So in other words, you got the answers from the previous columns. But look at this, double negation, right? Well, just regular P is true or false in that order, and not P is also true or false. They have to be the same, right? Because those are equivalent. So that's good news. And that's it for the one variable. Let me do two variable. There's only two letters in one variable because you're only dealing with one statement. Say, I like chocolate. So it's either true or false. That's your only two options. There's no for multiple choice. The reason why, when you have two letters, let's say you have P and Q, so like I like chocolate, and the other one is I like fruits. So that means one combination could be, yes, I like chocolate, yes, I like fruits. Sure, I could do three variables. Then another option is, yes, I like chocolate, but no, I don't like fruits. And then a third option is, no, I don't like chocolate, and yes, I like fruits. And the fourth option is, no, I don't like chocolate, no, I don't like fruits. So there's four scenarios, basically, four situations if you have two statements. And then now, let's say you have to build, the goal is you want to build it is not true that if P, then Q. Yeah, so then from here, you're always going to build what's in the parenthesis first. So inside the parenthesis is all this red stuff. So this is what I tell my students. This is the promise. So, if we come home early, then you'll get ice cream. So the come home early is the P, and the you get ice cream is the Q. So that's the only sentence that I said, correct? If I come home early, then you get ice cream. So this is what happened in situation one. Situation one, we came home early, you got ice cream. Was that first sentence fulfilled? And the answer is true. The first, you got ice cream because we came home early. The second situation, came home early, but you did not get ice cream. Oh my gosh, that means I lied to us, right? I lied to you. So that means this is a false statement. I did not keep my vow. I did not keep my promise. I went against it, right? The first thing happens, then the second thing has to happen. That's just the way it goes. The third situation, didn't come home early, but you still got ice cream. And in that case, I never said anything about what will happen if we come home late. I never said anything when we don't come home early. I just said if we come home early, something will happen. And that something was ice cream. But the third situation, it was just that, you know what? It's a bonus. So then that's true. I did not break the promise. You just got free ice cream. Last one is came home late, correct? And then you didn't get ice cream, but I didn't break any promise because, again, I never, sorry, I wrote that wrong. Because I never said that something will happen if you don't come home early. Now, how do you get your final answers? Some of you guys wrote the final answers. You just literally go the opposite to this row. So then what's opposite of true? It's false. What's opposite of false? It's true. What's opposite of true? False. What's opposite of true? False again. This is almost it's what we call a contradiction. Tautology would be if all of that was true, 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 true. So basically it's saying it's not a perfect world, it's not a perfect situation, and all the connections aren't there. So this is the end answer. Cool. All right, let's do a 4-part truth table. Okay, 4-part truth table. 4-part truth table. But someone asked before what happens if you have 3 variables. I don't remember if I showed every single class this. I know I showed this to my first period. Anyway, so let's say we have P, Q, R. And let's say we need to, this is our goal, we need to create a truth table for if P, then R, and Q. So in this situation, we're not going to just have 4 scenarios. So let's say I earlier said P was I like chocolate, and then Q was I like fruits, and then I'm going to say R is I like vegetables. Okay, so I can like chocolate. I can like fruit, and I could like vegetables. That's situation 1. Now, how we build this, there is a trend. What we do is we do 4 truths and then 4 falses. Then over here, we're going to do 2 truths and 2 falses, and 2 truths and then 2 falses. This is just a way to organize it. The last column is just going to be alternating. It's going to be true, false, true, false, true, false. And then this will be true. So we have 8 situations, not 4, 8, because we threw in another, oops, when I said 8, I put the number 8. We have 3 variables, there will be 8 scenarios. If you have 4 variables, you'll have 16 situations. So again, let me write this down here. 1 variable, you have just true or false, so just 2 situations. 2 variables, you'll have 4 situations. If you have 3 variables, you will have 8, right? Right here we have 8 situations. If you have 4 variables, oh my gosh, we'll have 16 situations. 5 variables, 32 situations. 6 variables, 64. I don't think we'll ever go that far. We're not going to go too advanced, but I think you see a trend. It's multiplying by 2. It's on the test. Who knows? What if it is? Oh, but anyway, let's go back to just the general idea. So I'm not going to quite do this all because it's a lot of work, but if you are interested, I'll give it a head start. So what you'll do is you'll first build whatever's on the left side of this and symbol. So you'll build this if P, then R. And you'll answer all those, right? 8 situations. Right, no one, I don't think you guys have seen this. Then you would write everything on the right-hand side of that and situation, and then you'll put it all together. Now, it's not hard at all. It's not hard at all as long as you remember all the basics. So I'll do a few. I'm not going to finish all of them. But if I'm trying to figure out the P and R situations, this is the promise. So I came home early and you got your ice cream. It's true. Now I'm just going to copy Q again. It's not necessary to do this again. Absolutely not necessary. But you can just copy it just for sake of copying. Right? Okay. So then I'll do one more. If you know I come home early, but you didn't get your ice cream. That means I lied. No good. The promise is broken. So then that is false. So now, if you're going to do the and situation, you are going to use these 2 rows, meaning look at those 2 answers. So and both have to be true. Whew, the first one is true. Second one, no good. That one's false. And then etc. So you kind of keep building that and you'll get a final answer in this column with 8 situation. Okay, what is happening? All right, so let's go back to what you are familiar with. So, oh, Miss Bratcher does it another way. Can you share, Joshua? Okay, so let's see. Now I'm going to do a 4-part truth table. Oh, I see. Okay, so don't worry about that one. It's just someone asked about it and I said, okay, let's see it. No 8 scenarios. Don't worry, guys. There are no 8 scenarios. That was just a little bit of a extra. Okay, so here's back to truth table, something you're familiar with. So let's find the answer to this truth table, and it is the following. We are going to find the answer of P and Q. If P and Q, then not Q. Okay, so step 1, you got to look at your letters and say there's only 2 letters, so there will be 4 scenarios. So you build your basics, and I know my class I asked to have your 4 scenarios written in this format: true, true, false, false, and then the next column you alternate: true, false, true, false. So again, you have 4 scenarios. So now from here, I have to build everything that's to the left side of this if-then, this arrow. So I'm writing the hypothesis. So the hypothesis is all of this stuff. I'm going to write that as my 3rd column. This is and. So and means it's only true if both P and Q are true. So that's true, but everything else is false because for and, you have to have both P and Q to be true. Okay, sure, I can do that too. Number 9 and 10. 9 and 10. Okay, so now I have to copy down everything to the right-hand side of the arrow, the if-then statement. So this is the conclusion. So it's not Q. And what I do, I just look at this column and then I just change all these answers. So I will change all those answers and I'm going to write false, true, true, true. Okay, so then now my final goal, this is a 5 column. I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to have the hypothesis first, then the arrow is, separating the if then, and I'm going to have the conclusion after. So I must look at these 2 columns. I don't need these anymore. Don't cross it out, right? Keep it there. But I'm just demonstrating that you are only focusing your eyes on what I boxed. So this is the if then. This is the promise situation. So, came home early, but I did not give you ice cream. So that means this is a false statement because I did not keep my vow. I did not keep my promise. The last 3 situations are all the same. You all see that, right? False, true, false, true, false, true. So only think of this one time. Came home late, right? I did not make it home early. I came home late, but you got ice cream anyway. So then this will be true because I didn't break a promise. So this is almost a tautology. So close, almost a tautology. How is the 3rd? Oh, Jasmine, good eyes. I misread my own writing. You are right. This was a true here. This should be a false. You are right. Thank you for catching that. However, it's still true at the end, but thank you for catching that. That is important because it could have made a difference. So I just misread my own writing. This original third row right here was true. I had to negate it, which is false. But, right, you didn't come home early, didn't get your ice cream, didn't break any promise. So again, it's still the same answer, but thank you for catching that, Jasmine. I appreciate it. Yes, this is familiar. Cool. All right, I'm going to do number 9 and 10 from the Logic Review Worksheet 2. And this will answer some of your questions about the paragraph. I think it was Andrew, asked earlier, and there was another person. Okay, so this is worksheet number 2, review worksheet number 2, number 9 and number 10. So I'm going to just read it. I'm hoping you have the handout in front of you or you can access the handout. So the first sentence says alpha is first or beta is second. So that means the given alpha is first, it represents A, or is this symbol, and then beta is second. So this is my first given. Okay, the second sentence is if beta is second, then gamma is third. So beta is second, arrow, gamma is third, G, if then. Okay, then the third sentence is if gamma is third, hold on, I wrote the wrong letter. I think it's the letter C instead of G. Okay, now if gamma is third, so that's C, then, so arrow, delta is home, so D. And then lastly, delta is not home, squiggle. Whoa. So here. Okay, so what are we trying to prove? We're trying to prove alpha is, alpha is first, which is A. So let's plan ahead. We're going to use this last, right? Because it has the letter A. And we're given the other two that are left, or other three that are left over. This one is solo. And the if-then sentences, I have to match that solo, not D, with something. It's going to be this one, right? These have the same letters. So I'm going to do this first. Okay, so this is, I did this in 8 steps. I know maybe your handout had 7, I'm not sure, but this one I did it in 8 steps. So I'm going to type this. So number 1, you can't see this yet. I'm going to start with the first given, if C then D. And then I'm going to do the second given, which is not D. Okay, so here it is so far. So now that will conclude, this is a modus because of the if-then, and your answer will be not the not the hypothesis. Modus tollens using step 1 and 2. Okay, so that's the answer so far. Now, that alone, do I have A? Nope, I can't get A whatsoever. So if I use these up, I'm done with them. Okay, so you won't cross this out tomorrow, but we've already used them, so I'm just crossing out for the sake of understanding what to do next. So I can't use A or B yet, that's last, so I'm going to use step, or the other given right here. So I'm going to type that, step 4. So if B, then C, that's given. And now looking at step 3 and 4, we're given from step 3, it says not the conclusion. So then my answer will be not the hypothesis. Sure. So not B, which is modus tollens using step 3 and 4. Okay, oh darn, that's not what I wanted. I mean, like, that's not the result, that's not the ending. I want A, so that means I have to use the last given. So it's good to cross out as you go. The last given is A or B. That's given. And I know when I see or, I forgot who said this earlier, but when I see or, I'm going to use disjunctive syllogism, commutative property, associative if there's parentheses, so not this one, etc. So I'm going to use disjunctive syllogism here, but I am going to have to switch the order of A and B. So if your teacher is not as picky, then you're pretty much done. But I know I am picky in this aspect. We wanted to utilize exactly what we saw. So I'm going to switch the order. And that's called commutative property. So now let me cross out what we don't need anymore, okay? So we don't need number 3 anymore. We're done. We don't need number 4. We don't need number 6. We are only looking at 5 and 7. So number 8, because you're given two choices, right? 7 says choose B or A. However, 5 says don't choose B. That means you must choose the other option, which is, why did I say C? I meant A. So you choose again, B or A. It says don't choose A. So you must choose, I'm saying it wrong. I'm so sorry. Okay, it says choose B or A. However, it says don't choose B. So that means you have to choose the other option, which is A, and that is disjunctive syllogism using statement 5 and 7. So whoever's in my class could answer Ryan's question. I don't know about Haygood. I don't know about Bratcher. I don't know about McKee, but Tara's class, yes. Thank you, Matt. All right, so let's do more proofs. Okay, we're going to do number 10 from the packet. This was review worksheet number 2. Okay, so number 10, it says either I do geometry question or I do the algebra question. So this is or, so I'm going to put G or A. Then the second sentence is if I do the algebra question, so arrow, then I get it correct. C. And then the third sentence is if I lose points, that represents letter P, then I did not get the algebra question correct. So that's not C. And last one is it is known that I lost points. I lose points, so not P. So again, plan ahead pretty soon. I'm going to write the proof. It says I did the geometry question. I did the geometry question. Okay, so I know I'm going to use last because it involves the letter G. And I have to use one of these, not P, because it's by itself. And so from here, I need to use an if-then statement that has a P. And here it is. So I'm going to use these two first. So this one I also did in 8 steps. So number 1, I'm just going to copy the 2 green givens. Oops. 2P. Okay, so we have our first 2 givens, and we can use, oh, sorry, I misread it. There's no not here, sorry. There never was a not there, because the statement says I lose points, and that's just P. Sorry, there's no not there, no not here. Okay. I was like, this can't be done. Okay, now we can go. Now we can proceed. So then from here, look at statement 2 and 3. This is a modus ponens situation because you're given the hypothesis. So your answer is the conclusion. So not C. And this is given. No, modus ponens. Yes, if then is modus. That's right. Using steps 1 and 2. Okay. So I am done with these 2 givens. I highly recommend to cross them out so that you know you don't have to use them again. And I'm going to cross these out here just because I'm done with those as far as I know right now. Okay, now I have to throw in the next given because I am totally stuck with just not C. So I'm copying if A, then not C. And from here, using those 2 steps, I have an if then and I have another given. I'm working backwards, right? This is a modus tollens because modus tollens, you're given the, oh gosh, I am writing so many nots that I don't look at, I like copied this wrong. Sorry, there's no not there. I'm just thinking to myself, like, I can't do this. Okay. So there's no not there. Sorry, my apologies. So then from here, number 5, the answer will be not the hypothesis of your if-then sentence. So what would that be? Not the hypothesis of the if-then sentence. That would be, some of you are Say modus tollens, yes. And the answer will be modus tollens using step 3 and 4. Okay, so now, almost there, so this is done. Now I have to use the last given. So that's step 6. So that's if, no if, I'm sorry. Just G or A. So we have to switch the order just because the way you've seen it. Again, Mickey, Haygood, Bratcher, I'm not sure. Sorry, I forgot to ask them. But for Tera, we do have to switch them. So if we switch them, that will be A or G, commutative property. So commutative, I'll give you a quick run through after because I've been seeing common mistakes, okay? I'll do that right after this. So then number 8, so I don't need this anymore either. I'm going to use step 6 and 7. Oh shoot, I deleted the wrong one. Hold on. Ah, yes, undo button. I'm going to use steps 5 and 7. And I am going to get a disjunctive syllogism because that's the or situation. So it says pick A or G. Okay, so pick algebra or geometry. And then you say not algebra. That means you're stuck with geometry. And that is our answer. So G is our final answer. We got the goal. We used all our givens. And it took us 8 steps. Cool. Thanks for clarifying, Sarah. So Bratcher does have to switch too. So use commutative property. All right, so here are some common mistakes that I have seen. So the common mistakes, oh, perfect. And there we go. I feel like all the teachers are lining up. Yay. So, okay, this is a common mistake and tell me why, okay? I'm going to write down one item. This is a mistake right here. This is a mistake. Okay. What was I trying to do? Oh, yeah, this was the mistake. Commutative property. This is wrong. So commutative property, we can't do that with if-then sentences. Sure. So for if-then sentences, we can only do contrapositive, converse, etc. Oh, thank you, Matt. That's very helpful because I think I did number 3 already. Yeah, Cody. So we can only do not D. If not D, then not C, and that's contrapositive. That's allowed, okay? But I've seen this before, and I was like, oh, we can't do that. That's not commutative. Associative either, because associative is with parentheses. That's correct. Here's another common mistake. C and D is given, and then actually, not this one. Let me think. There's another common mistake that I've seen before, and I'm trying to recall. What was the other common mistake? Commutative was a common mistake. Oh, this one. So we have something given, and it's close, but it's not quite right. So this is the situation when you're almost distributing. Right, Sarah, but we didn't switch the and to an or. This is called De Morgan's. It's like distributive, like it starts with a D, but it's not distributive purely. So in this case, this would have been not J or not K. And then now it's correct. Okay, I've been seeing that mistake here and there. Then what else was a common mistake that I've seen? Well, this is not a common mistake, but this is a strategy. So if I have J and K and R, let's say, I can do many things with this. I can do switching the parentheses. What do you call that? Yes, awesome. So that's associative when you switch the parentheses. Now, why is this sometimes advantageous? Is because then you can just grab the left side and call it simplification. Now, I could have done this a different way. I could have done simplification twice, right? I could have gotten the same exact answer by the third step by doing simplification twice. So I'm going to delete, oops, I'm going to erase this associative property and show you I could have gotten simplification by just doing this. I could have taken to the left of this and symbol. This is J and K, and I get the same answer again because it's to the left side of the and. So there's many ways, there's different paths. Oh, I wanted to do this for sure. So if we have, where is it? This one, okay, this was from the quiz, number 17. And I know no one asked for it, but if you want to do less steps, then you would want to use contrapositive sometimes, okay? So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So contrapositive is awesome to save the double negations. You don't have to do it. So let's say we're given, and then if I immediately change the order, right, that means I did contrapositive. And this is number 17. Sorry, I didn't write the givens or the proof. The goal is P, okay? The goal is P. So then, oh, I apologize, it's R. What the? Okay, then the other given was P. So I don't have to do any double negation. So now I'm done with number 1. I'm going to use 2 and 3 and do modus ponens because I'm given the first part. Sorry, I'm not writing the steps in this one because I want to just show the comparison of double negation versus contrapositive. So from here, I have one more given that's thrown in. And also, like, look at this proof right now, currently. The letters from step 2 to 3, it has the letters P's and Q's. And then step 4 to 5 to 6, it has Q's and R's. So like, if I were to split it here, right, the top half has P's and Q's, the bottom half has Q's and R's. So just kind of like look at always the flow. It has to kind of go in a consecutive order. And that's the whole purpose of these proofs, that you're doing it in a nice order. Okay, so from there, now our final answer is modus ponens again. And ta-da! Okay, that's 6 steps. So I'll show you the same exact thing, like same exact givens. It's just that, we had to use double negation. It took an extra step or so. So if I had started with the same exact thing, sorry, my knots are like not really squiggly. And I start with this given, right? Now here's the thing is this given is not literally the opposite of what I highlighted in red. So right here, that's highlighted in red, I have to negate that as well. So right here. And so how in the world did I get that from step 2 to 3? That's called double negation. I'm going to do DN for double negation, okay? All right, guys, you guys are getting a little off topic. So then now, from here, I don't need this letter P anymore, okay? That was given, so that's gone. It's all done. So now looking at step 1 and 3, now I'm ready to do modus tollens, and my answer will be not Q. I have to say not of the hypothesis, and that's modus tollens using step 1 and 3. Okay, So then from there, now the other given is if Q then R. Well, I don't want not Q. So I'm going to get rid of those nots and just change it to plain old Q and call that double negation. Now, if I split the paper or the page in half or so, this bottom half is all Q's and R's, and then the top half is the P's and Q's. So this is given, and this is modus ponens. So look at how I took an extra step if you're trying to use double negation versus contrapositive. You don't have to worry about that one extra step, that filler step. So just sometimes it's worth doing contrapositive, okay? Let's see what Joe said earlier. Don't know. Okay, so I know Kyle asked complex circuit. All right. I don't know where the question went. Okay, so I'm going to do the complex circuit. Let's see. Let's do circuit. So P or whoops. I'm trying to do truth table. Or P or G. Good. Okay, so here's our very complicated circuit. So here's this big symbol in between these two groups. Here's group 1, here's group 2. So this is OR. That means that's going to be a humongous bracket. And then you have these connections that connects to other circuits, these little Frankensteins, these little arms. So what we are going to do is try to write all of this on the top part, and then that's and, so that's actually easy. So I'm going to delete the circle. So this is P with the segment bar and an R. So it's just a direct, what you call it, and a direct current. Okay, sorry. All right, then now I'm going to do all this on the bottom. And this big symbol is another and. So there's like this and in between these two small subgroups, another R. And then I have to draw this out over here. Well, that's an OR. So that means I'm going to draw another bracket there where I have that box. So let me delete the box. And I'm going to draw another OR here. And I'm going to use these two letters. So this will be P, J. So if you look at it, the top is, I'm going to circle it, is P and R right here. The bottom, all of this gray stuff is an and situation because there's this right here. But within the to the left of the and, we have a or situation. Okay. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? Yes. So if you are, need to talk to other peers, other classmates, you can go to the private chat. So we want to keep this chat that's visible, just math only. So if you guys can do that, that would be appreciated. Otherwise, are there any questions? Complex, okay. And then I'll do another logic proof. Sure. All right. So let's do J or K. Or R. And then another or. Oh my gosh, this is really going to be ugly. Over here, I'll do Q and R or S. Wow. Okay, I gotta plan it through a little bit. So this big symbol in the middle, in between these two black and red groups, it's or. So that means it's a big or bracket symbol. Okay, now then there's subgroups. So I'm done with this. Okay, now I'm gonna do everything on the top in black. So this is another or separating the groups. So there's gonna be another big bracket. And on the top is going to be J and K. I'm sorry, J or K, right? And then the bottom is going to be R. So this is all on the top right here. And so that will be another bracket. And this will be J, oops, and this will be K. The bottom will be R. So I am all done with this. Okay, does that make sense so far? All right, now I'm going to do the red part. So the red part is right here. So this big symbol in between these two subgroups is an and. So it's going to be this direct current bar. And to the left side will be Q. However, to the right side will be another or, which means it's going to be a bracket. Within this here, you got R and, I'm sorry, or S. So the R is on top, S is on the bottom. And then I think we covered it all for that one. So there's a lot of ors. So you could even count it. Like look at, here's one or, two ors, three ors, four ors. So if you count your brackets, here's one, here's two, here's three, and here's four ors. So that's perfect. And then for the and, we only have one, which is right here in the middle. So you could kind of like check your answers, check your work, check your drawing afterwards. Okay, pretty crazy, huh? All right, logic proof time. Okay, so logic proof. Let's see. Let's do. Yes, Ethan, you can do universal logic, and I did appreciate that. Yeah, we didn't. Not everyone has that, so yeah, I was so happy. I was pleased to see that. Okay, I'm finding a logic proof. Let's see. This one could be done in two ways. So I'm going to do this one. So here's given P and Q and R. I kind of gave you like a little clue earlier. And then if P, then S. And our proof is S. So we're going to use this last, right? So luckily, these are all ands over here. So here's situation one. I'm going to try to do two ways. They're both 5 steps, but you have different options. I have 2 ways to do this. Probably even more. Okay. So it does kind of matter what order. Yes, Una, thank you for asking that. It does matter because you want to sequence them, meaning like if you're going to use modus ponens, you want to put those kind of together. So you don't want to just put all the givens and then just kind of like go back and forth. You want to choose appropriately. Yes. So I'm going to use the first box one. So P and Q and R. And here's option one. Right away, you can just do simplification because it'll take the right side. So my answer is P and Q. I don't need the parentheses anymore, but that's the first case, okay? That's using step one. Then I'm going to do simplification again because I want to get P somehow, right? I'm going to use this very soon. So now I get the left side, and I just get P. So now I do not need step one. I do not need step two. I have to throw in this other given. It's ready to be used with the newest member. So that's P implies S. And now I am not using step one or two. I'm going to use these 2 steps together, like they're grouped together. And this is modus ponens. Oops, not 6 steps. Modus ponens using the 2 previous steps. So you, again, don't use, exactly, don't use given right away. You want to space it out a little bit. So you're thinking, how else could I have done this? Well, it's just one little fix, and it's in the middle, number 2. Instead of doing simplification, does anyone know what we could have done to get, whoa, something just happened, to get the answer? Oh my gosh, something is moving. Yes, Sarah, we could have done associative property. I'm trying to delete this part. Let me see. So because you see parentheses in step 1, you can do associative property. So that's another option. It's just, people see it differently. So you can choose whatever option makes more sense to you. I'm deleting everything that I don't want to delete. Things are getting... I wish I had an eraser bar. The erasers don't work. Maybe I do have an eraser. I have to find it. Okay. Getting there, guys. Let's see. And, oh yeah, Griffin, we did that earlier, so you can rewatch it. It's probably midway through. I'll put a link up pretty soon. But Ms. Bratcher said there is none of those, I believe. So I guess, hint, hint, you don't have to worry. So Sarah said do associative property, because then you'll just get P right away for step 3. So that's just a different option, either simplification, or associative and simplification. Let's do maybe one more, and then we'll call it a night, because it is a little past 8. So number... Okay, just looking for a good one. In the meantime, what would your answer be here? All right, so you guys could type. What would your answer be there? Oops, sorry, I just realized something's wrong. I'm like trying to do 2 things at once. Sorry. Now you can answer the question. So the 2 givens are if, not P or not J, and then another given is not P. What is your answer? All right. Answer is not J, disjunctive syllogism. Okay. Another quick one, and then I'll do a longer one. If I have Q implies R, oh no, sorry, not R given, and I have not R given. I said it wrong. Just R. Then what is this step called? Right here. So you're typing. Yep, nice job. So double negation. So once you get that, you don't need this second step anymore. You're looking at the first and the third step, and you're going to use those together. We're saying not the conclusion. So my answer will be not the hypothesis, and that's modus tollens. Okay, so here's the big whammy one. So how about you guys try this out? This is number 4, or it doesn't matter, given. So C to T, not C, not S, and S. And then here's prove is T. So hopefully you, by this point, know which given to use last. This is to use last because it has the letter T, so you want to try to save it for later. And then these two you probably want to use together. So step 1, we are going to use not C, implies not S. And then we're going to have to use the other given, even though it's not correctly formatted, we'll reformat that. So there's a problem here. We have to change this to not S. And that's double negation. So then now, using step 2. Now that we used step 2, it's gone, right? We're done with step 2. Don't cross it out on your actual test tomorrow. But we have to use step 1 and 3 to make up a new conclusion. Well, this is modus tollens. So your answer is not C. And then from there, now we're done with these two givens, but then I'm like, dang, I don't want not C. Look at how this other last given doesn't have it. So I have to get rid of those two negations. That's called double negation. Sorry, I'm not writing the steps. This is 1 and 3. And this one is number 4. So now we're done with this here. We're done with this here. We're done with number 1, right? And you could keep track because I already did it step 2, I already did step 1, I already did step 3. So I need to save step 4. I need that for later. And I'm going to throw in step 5. So C, T goes together. And that's given. And now using number 5 and number 6, I'm going to use modus ponens, P, to get my answer. So again, this is a sequence. I'm abbreviating now because I have no room. Sorry, I know some teachers let you abbreviate, but dear Tara, I want you guys to spell it out because you'll have a, what is it, word bank, the multiple choice. So the words are there. So I'm expecting you guys to not abbreviate. No abbreviations for Tara. All right. Okay. So, study your basics, right? If you see arrows, it's modus ponens or modus tollens. If you see, and again, this could have been done a different way. I could have done this in a little shorter if I did, what's it called? I can't think, contrapositive. I could have done contrapositive here. Alrighty, so study your basics, study when to use and, that's simplification. So when you see this, it's either simplification, commutative, or associative if there's parentheses. If you see or, it's disjunctive syllogism. If you have something else, it's commutative, it's associative, if you have parentheses. If you see arrows, it's modus ponens, modus tollens, contrapositive, right? Those are your options for arrow ones. Let's see. If you see a squiggle, a knot, and another knot, and a letter, and you don't want those two, you're going to use double negation. Right? So those two knots, or you could go the other way around. You could make a regular one become two negations. Negation. You right, guys are welcome. De Morgan's. I forgot about that one. De Morgan's, that one has and or. So De Morgan's. Right, so go to your basics. Make sure your proofs flow well. And oh, I forgot to do, some of you guys are here. I forgot to do, I think I did it earlier, but I just kind of wanted to really clarify. If you're trying to do a truth table of, let's say, if it is not true that if P then Q, you would build your P, you would build your Q. I think I did this. You would build the inside of the parenthesis, and then you would negate your previous answer. So just do parenthesis first, then all that. If you had if P then Q, and then not Q, you would build your two basics. You would build the left side of the arrow, if then, and then you would build the right side of your arrow, and then you'll have the whole thing put together. And then so once you use, once you get these answers, you no longer need these. These are now invalid. And then you're just reading one at a time and looking at the if-then situation. All right, tautology is when you get all of them true in the last column. All righty, hold on. I'm gonna stop the recording and I will put the links. So if you want the